Wow, what a great intro, wasn't that, Mike? Did you see the
Oh,
number
boy,
countdown?
that was some intro.
I don't know what happened. Our intros are all gone on here. I can't. They're not on there. I don't know what happened.
Really?
That's the only thing I could find. So we had to do the countdown. Anyway, hey everybody, as you're stopping in, welcome to another edition of Rush Hour. I'm Chris Rosa with my co-host over here, Michael the Truth Stewart. Mike, what's happening, man? How's everything going?
Everything's going good. Beautiful day down in the Carolinas today, 70 degrees.
Oh
Beautiful.
man, I'm jealous. Yeah, it
How
was.
about you?
Jersey wasn't bad. We hit around 50, so I'm not going to complain. Considering earlier in the week it was pretty dicey with
Yeah.
being in the 20s and some slushy, wet snow. Hey, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. You're in early tonight, man. Welcome. We have an exciting show tonight. Not really, but we'll make. But anyway, Mike. I know you weren't on the show Monday. Neither was I. Let's just talk real quick before we get into our stuff. What was your feeling about how hard the Giants played on Sunday against the Ravens? Forget the score. Did you feel like the Giants, the players themselves, play hard with a lot of these backups?
Well, from what I've seen, it looked like they played hard, but you could play hard, but if your talent's not there, it doesn't matter. They were just so totally outclassed, outplayed by the Ravens. I mean, Lamar Jackson put on a show, basically, and I really thought that the same would have been said for Henry. I did expect Henry to have like 100 plus yards, but he did. I think he only had like 60 yards.
Yeah.
Rushing.
2 weeks in a row, right, Mike? I mean, they did a great job with Alvin Kamara. They did a great job with Derrick Henry. And you know what's interesting? You had these backups in here like DJ Davidson, Jordan Riley, Chapman. It just goes to show that some of these guys are playing for their jobs down the line. They're putting stuff on tape. They want to make a roster next year, whether it's with the Giants. And it is funny that these guys are actually playing well because they can't just go through the motions. They're trying to end up on the Giants roster. Next year going into the OTAs.
I'll tell you, Chapman has played really well. So has McFadden.
Mm-hmm.
You watch a guy who has such great anticipation, who makes up for the lack of speed he has if you go by his 40 time. That's why that doesn't matter when you see guys run the 40 in the combine, because he plays so much faster than that because he anticipates so well. He gets through those gaps so quickly, reads it well, and when you do that, that means you do your homework. You look at film. So he anticipates so well, and I'll tell you, you don't miss Okereke. You don't miss him. You don't.
Yeah, I mean, Mike McFadden's definitely played great, and he hasn't skipped a beat. He misses a tackle here and there, but overall, he does a good job. Mike, you make a great point. We overlook sometimes. Hey, Tudo, welcome, man. We always love seeing you. Thanks for stopping in.
Tudo, come stop.
So let's see what Tudo's here. He's putting a lengthy, much love, respect to Big Chris and Mikey the Truth. Greetings from our entire Cardiff, Wales, getting ready for our test on Saturday. Hey, good luck with that.
Good luck.
Very cold and rainy. Yeah, just like Jersey, man. But we're made for any conditions. That's awesome. Cheer, lads. Awesome. Thank you, Tudo. Always a pleasure having you in here. But Mike, you make a great point. I mean, you talk about the on-field play and how teams play hard and the players go out and play hard, and that's what we're looking at. But I think one thing that gets overlooked is the I don't want to say the playbook study or the book study, but when you have a 2-11 team, these guys spend their whole day at the facility, and then they're expected to go home and study their opponent, right? They're studying the corners, they're studying the receivers, the other linemen. How much of that time, let's be honest, it's almost like senioritis. The year's over, your senior year in high school, you kind of pack it in a little bit. Maybe as well, they don't put the time in at night to really study their opponent when going over the playbook if they were like a winning team. Right, Mike? Maybe instead of putting 2 hours in at night, they're only looking over 45 minutes of their opponent, and they're calling it quits. And to them, they're human. Hey, we're 2-11. I'm going to play hard, but I'm not going to put in the extra time in the book study. I don't know. It's just kind of looking at human nature. That's just a guess on my part, but I can see that happening where at this point in the season, the time with the studying maybe isn't taking place.
Yeah, and Chris, it's not uncommon for players not to be committed to the playbook like others. Some some do have issues, even knowing the playbook even now, I'm sure. So you probably have a very valid point there. What you
You
said.
know, and I would think they're excited to play on Sunday because they're playing for their jobs and they want to play football. If they love the game, they want to go out there and play. But once again, who knows how much time they're actually spending at home study with film and studying their play tablets.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
can tell you the last 2 weeks, the best unit has been the defensive line. And you know what? The offensive line didn't play that bad last week.
Yeah, surprisingly, yeah. Evan Neal, give him credit. It was 50 passes, and what did he give up? One pressure, maybe. So,
Yeah, he didn't play bad. He looked better, much better,
yep, yep.
much better.
Well, since Tudo's addressing me here, let's put him up before we get rolling. Chris, we're all far away and lost from Giants news, mate. Yeah, what's going on with all the Giants drama, mate, regarding Giants BS? Yeah,
You're better at not knowing.
yep. Reporters, content creators, mate. Great segue, Tudo. I was going to hold off to the end, but on Monday, the truth will be on the show with Craig as well. We're going to have Ryan Dunleavy from the New York Post. So we're going to get some real, hopefully good answers, unfiltered, from one of our good friends, Ryan Dunleavy from the New York Post. So that'll be Monday at 7:30. So make sure you tune in for that. So that should be good. Right before the Christmas and all the holidays, we'll have Ryan on and see where the team, what's going on, with the coaching staff and everything. But anyway, Mike, before we segue to our stuff, anything else you want to add in from Sunday with the Ravens game?
No, it was just a debacling results. It just seems like they didn't have an answer for Jackson at all. And give credit where credit's due. He's become more of a passer, a better passing quarterback. He really has. I mean, he throws a good football. If you watch his passes, nice spirals. You don't see the ball wobbling. You don't see the ball behind the runner, the receiver low. It's in stride. So he's really come a long way. He's become such a really good quarterback.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, more so than probably we even thought he would be. Better than his even MVP year. The command of the offense, the pinpoint passing, the pass to Likely in the end zone, in the back of the end zone, right on the money. So, wow, yeah. And that's hey, hopefully we'll have something like that at some point sooner than later with the Giants.
Yeah. Hopefully
Yep.
it starts with the draft, right?
That's right. And he'll be here soon enough. But anyhow, Mike, you want to I'm just going to go over injuries before we get to your keys.
Okay.
So this will be a brief preview tonight, everybody. Truth and I were talking about it earlier this week. We're not going to kill it tonight with the Giants and the Falcons. We're going to kind of gloss over it pretty quick and then get into the meat and potatoes of what's going on with the coaching staff and some of the other questions out there. But anyway, the injury report is lengthy. Brian Burns, Patrick Johnson, who's one of the backup linebackers, special teams, Bobby Okereke, Aaron Stinney, and Greg Stroman, the corner. They were all limited, did not practice today. Limited: Deontay Banks, Dane Belton, Tommy DeVito, concussion protocol. Corey Durden played actually well last week. He has a shoulder. Cordell Flott, who looks like he's going to go on Sunday. Art Green with the shoulder. Drew Lock looks like he's going to be set to start. That came from Dable today with the elbow. Chris Manhertz, the ankle, and he also had the heel. Drew Lock did have the heel as well. Neighbors is going to be a go probably. He has the knee and the foot. Roches, the neck and the shoulder. Drew Phillips, the shoulder. And Wandell with the shoulder. Those guys are all limited. We'll see what happens tomorrow if they get out there and they get the designations on Friday.
Yeah.
But that's where we're at. And hey, Bill, thanks for chiming in, man. Bill's here checking in, but got to check out. New glasses are ready, and I got 50 minutes to get there. Do your thing, Bill. Get those glasses, man. Definitely need them. All right. So, Mike, we'll get right to your keys to the game. I know you did a great summary of the Falcons and the Giants, which was probably painful on your end. So go ahead, man. Go ahead with it.
Well, let's start off by saying that this Falcon team is a 7-7 team, and they do have some kinks in their armor. They they can be scored upon. Their defense is not that good, and I'll get into a couple of stats on that. But I think because Drew Lock is starting, I think the Giants, I think Dable and whoever's calling the play, I think they need to just say, you know what, let's open the book a little bit. Let's just have a little bit more unpredictability. I think Drew Lock needs to get the ball out there. Let's vertical. Let's open it up a little bit. I still think we need to run the football. Yes, I do need that. Tracy's a good weapon to have, but let's get the ball out and let's make this defense work. Yep. Giants need to have the ball for a good majority of time possession because Atlanta does have a very good explosive offense, and we will get into the change that we are about the quarterback change there. But I still think they're going to be pretty decent offensively. They got weapons. So I think with the first thing for Giants is Drew. I think, let him throw the ball. Don't worry about making mistakes. Just let's be aggressive. Yep. Let's go out there. Don't be predictable. And let's try to sustain drives.
Yeah, and Mike, what was interesting last week when you saw Tim Boyle coming in the second half, you saw him throwing downfield. His progressions and his processing was very quick, and it was a stark difference between what we've seen from Locke and Boyle. I mean, Boyle just got rid of the ball, and it was quick processing, quick anticipation, which was nice, was refreshing actually.
Chris, he made that one throw down the sidelines. He didn't throw it to Neighbors. He threw it to a spot. And if you saw that, Neighbors wasn't even in that area. Neighbors wasn't even open. And he threw it down the sidelines, and then Neighbors got there and made like a little bit of a semi-dive catch. Remember that play, like early on?
Yep. And then he threaded another one where the safety was coming over in the corner, right in between them. Yeah.
I got to tell you, I didn't know who Tim Boyle was. I got to be honest with you.
So, Mike, he came into the league in 2019. He's been with 5 teams already. Imagine that.
Okay. So what was he? Was he an undrafted player? Do you know?
I don't know if he was undrafted, but he was with Miami. He was with Rodgers and Green Bay with the Jets last year. I think he might have had a quick stint with Jacksonville or Carolina as a backup, and then Miami before this season, and then he got let go or was on the practice squad. So, he's jumped around, man.
Yeah, he didn't do bad for a guy who didn't expect anything from him, right? He didn't expect anything. So
he looked like a pro, Mike. He looked like a pro. He didn't
look like he was lost.
No, he looked like he belonged on the field.
Yes. Yeah, good point. Second thing for the Giants, they got their defense has been absent for a while. The last 4 games, they've given up 106 points. They haven't looked at all, like they're even able to make a big stop. That needs to change. They need to be a little bit more aggressive. As we're going to point out, Michael Penix will be starting instead of Kirk Cousins. So maybe Bowen should open up the little book there and maybe get some blitz packages, some disguises to confuse Penix. Let's do something like that, for a young rookie.
Show different looks, right, Mike? Show the different looks and back out and that kind of stuff.
Hey, let's be aggressive, guys. Let's be aggressive. Let them make the plays. Mm-hmm. Don't sit back and let them make plays. Let them make the plays by being aggressive. That's what I think for defense. Over the last 2 games, Chris and I have been talking off air. The defensive line, really a bunch of nobody, no name, no ones, right? But let me tell you, Chapman, playing lights out. Mm-hmm. I mean, that guy has an endless motor, and that was his MO, right? That was his scouting report. The guy had an endless motor
and strength. Yeah, one of the strongest guy in the team, maybe.
He's very low center of gravity body type. He's only 6'1", right. And relentless, and that's what you love to see. And I'm curious to see that continue because they're going to have a another good running back to deal with, and we'll get into that one when I go on Atlanta. And lastly,
and Mike, getting to Chapman, I'm happy that he'll be here for the whole offseason. He's not going to be undrafted, showing up in May or June. He's a guy that's going to be here all offseason, working hard. He has a year under his belt. Expect good things from him next year as a rotational piece with Dexter and whoever else they get next to Dexter, because they're going to need somebody, upgrade.
I agree. And he could be more of a rotational guy. You don't know what can happen with. Right. Chris, we've seen it throughout the NFL history how many guys, undrafted guys, become very good players just by their will and hard work and their dedication.
Yeah.
So it's not only, but I would like to see another young defensive lineman be added into that group.
Yeah, and there's a few good ones coming out of college. There's a few
Oh
good
yeah,
D tackles coming out too.
yeah. I definitely want to see them get one through the draft, not through free agency. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
So then we got lastly the Giants. Of course, the red zone and third down conversions have been pretty pathetic. I think they're last in the red zone and 27th in third down conversions. So I talked about the Giants need to have a little more sustaining drives. I think they need to do that with the third down conversions, and let's see if they can. Maybe they will. Maybe they will get a touchdown in the red zone this week.
Mike, and to your point, let me ask you a question. We know what Devin Singletary is. Tracy, you want to get him some more experience, get him used to holding on to that ball and ironing out those fumble issues, which looks like he may have gotten over that a little bit. But it boggles my mind, and we said it a couple weeks ago. Why don't, and you've seen Eric Gray, his carries diminish. He's not returning kicks. I'm asking you, Mike, why isn't Dante Miller, Turbo, been promoted from the practice squad? We got 3 games left. Put him on kickoffs. Get some action out of the backfield as a running back, even on third down. Why do you think he hasn't been moved up? I don't get it. He showed so much promise in preseason. You saw flashes of this guy.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. I don't get it. I heard
pizza.
No, I got
Uber Eats.
I got my owner laughing at me because he's an Eagles fan.
Oh, they're everywhere, Mike. They're everywhere.
And he's laughing at me. He's doing the eagle. He's doing the eagle flying.
I'm not surprised. I'm
trying to avoid him, not looking at him. He left. All right. I agree. I think bringing Miller up now. Let's see what he can do. Scat back. Put him out there, and let him do a couple of Dave Meggett role plays. And what are you gonna do? Not have him see what he can do. Then what are you gonna do in the offseason? Cut him. Then he goes somewhere else. He's a good serviceable backup running back. Gives him quality snaps. I mean, I don't understand sometimes.
Well, you know what they're going to do, Mike? I hope they do this. As you know, after the last game of the season, they offer players the futures contract. So I'm hoping that these guys on the practice squad, some of them, like Turbo Miller, they give him that futures contract and put him right on that 90 roster, which they can go up to over the offseason. So I hope they give him a contract so nobody grabs him. Because, I want to see him next year at least develop. I mean, I don't understand why they haven't put him on kickoffs at least.
I agree. I agree. So that's my take with the Giants. 3 things. Drew needs to be more aggressive. Let's open the playbook. Defense. Let's see if the Giants can confuse the young quarterback with a lot of disguises. And then lastly, the red zone and third down conversions. Let's when you're not predictable on offense, you get third and shorts. You don't get third and long when you're too predictable. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So hopefully they can do that. With Atlanta, you mentioned it that they're going to be having Michael Penix will be the starting quarterback. A lot of Giants wanted him in this draft. Spartan, one of our own, liked him, and I like him too. I thought I think he's a good quarterback. And
Mike, you tell me, because you study these guys in the offseason more than I do. Most pro, other than the injury with the shoulder, he's had some most pro-ready quarterback last year coming out of college.
Yeah. Yep. And he came from a college offensive system that was predicated to the NFL pro style. The guy, I like him. I thought, and we were all shocked that he was taken. I think it was 8th, right? They were picking Falcons. We were all shocked. I don't think anybody predicted that.
All shocked.
If you did, I salute you.
And you know what? They got a lot of grief through the media and through the draft, the draft guys out there. But looking at it now, Mike, it was really an insurance policy, right? Coming with Cousins with the Achilles, not knowing if he'd come back. And he does. Cousins isn't the same guy. Even though he threw 5 touchdowns a month ago, he's not the same guy. I think he has 1 touchdown since week 9 and about 8 interceptions. So he's on kind of that Daniel Jones kind of track. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
get it. And a perfect game, right, Mike, to throw them against a bunch of backup players on defense,
Yeah.
the Giants at home, when
At
next week
home.
they go on Sunday night. You don't want to start them there in a big game.
Why not? Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You made that point off the air as well.
Yeah, you can always pull them, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
Cousins comes in relief if you have to. If it's that bad, you just you take him out.
And when you I go on the Atlanta side, he will be battle tested. The Giants will. I think the Giants will throw stuff at him, try to confuse him, and I think it's going to be very important for Bijan Robinson to carry the load in this game. Take the pressure off of Penix. If Penix does throw, let him get the ball out quickly to Kyle Pitts. You got the other kid, I think Drake London. You got him. Get the ball out to them a little quick. What are those jet sweeps? Little slant-ins. Michael Penix is very good at that. By the way, little slant-ins. He did well in Washington with that. And that's the way he can combat the Giants if they do a pass rush. Let's try to get the ball out of your hands quick. I expect Bijan Robinson, to have a big game. I think he's going to have a big game. So that's my take with that on that one. Atlanta's defense has been kind of non-competitive. They surrender like 355 yards a game. So you can move the ball on them, even a Giants offense can move the ball on that defense. So
yeah, we might be able to get 14 points, live up to that average, 14-point average. We might get 14.
Yeah, the Giants. I think was it you or Spartan? I said I was watching the Giant game 2 weeks ago, and someone said the Giants are the top 5 teams that they have the most 10-yard drives in the NFL. They're in the top 5.
Wow, that's interesting.
I was shocked when I heard
that. I didn't know that. Wow.
I was told. I said, "Are you kidding me?" But they're just so pathetic in the red zone. It's never doesn't translate. So
right.
I think for Atlanta, they need to limit the Giants with those sustainable drives. They need to, put them in predictable downs, 3rd and long, and they're going to have to throw the ball. And they only have 23 sacks on the year as a defense. And how many times have we said this? When we do say this, the team ends up getting like 5 sacks against us.
Yeah.
So I hope that's not the case. I think our offense is playing a little better right now, so hopefully that won't be what's going to happen. But Atlanta does need to pick it up a notch on defense, and make the Giants work for every yard. Yep. And I think the last thing I have here is let's see. I did have about getting the other guys involved. I mentioned Drake London and Kyle.
London, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's get them involved. They can't just rely on Robinson. So that's my take. I mean, you can say, go ahead.
No, I'll say, Mike, and to what you're saying about the offense, a disappointment for Atlanta and maybe it's the system. He's jumped around with different quarterbacks and different coaches. Kyle Pitts, right? Coming out of college, man, he was that all-dimensional everything.
So about the Giants going to get him. Giants should get him. This guy, I mean, he was like you're right, like the Kellen Winslow of the modern football.
But it's almost like the system, right? You got to be lucky to go. You got to think if he ended up with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, his career would have been totally different. It wouldn't have been the same. It's just a bad, which is not to say a bad situation, but it's just not the optimum situation in Atlanta.
Even Buffalo.
Oh, you put him in Dallas when they were looking for a tight end, or Philly. No, they lost Hurts. Guy he'd be household name.
Look at Kincaid, the kind of career he's having now. Kincaid,
he
was good out of college, but Kyle Pitts was like elite.
Yeah,
coming out.
I don't even know if they utilize the tight end much in Atlanta. Maybe they don't, but that seems like they don't even. No, they don't. Right? It's one of these types of offense where they just don't utilize them. JT had a question. Do you start Boyle or Drew? Truth and I said earlier, Drew Lock's going to start, coming from Dable. That's what he's going to be ready to go. So we'll see. But, hey, he doesn't do well. Maybe they pull him. But, Drew Lock will be starting on Sunday.
That could happen. If he does miserably, Drew Lock, why wouldn't he pull him and put Boyle in?
He was at least moving the ball and throwing downfield and processing, relatively fast.
Yeah, the Giants don't have no loyalty to Drew Lock.
No,
not
at all.
If he stinks it up, in the first half, they may start the second half with Boyle. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Absolutely.
No, for sure. So give me a score, Mike, as we wrap it up with the keys to the game. What do you think?
Jeez.
Considering rookie quarterback hasn't played it. Hey, he's had five passes in the NFL so far, I think, or a handful.
Yeah, he's three for 5.
Yeah, he threw a couple nice ones too. They had on nice. Quick delivery, man. He gets rid of that ball quick, and he's got some juice on it.
Yeah, a little Michael Vick throw.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna say I think they're gonna score less points on because of maybe they won't open up the playbook so much for him, like they do with Cousins. So I'm gonna say they'll get like 20. I'm gonna say 20. Let's pick a round number, 24. And I just can't see the Giants scoring a lot. Maybe a couple of field goals if they get it. I know I use the same predictions. I'll say 24-13.
Okay.
Atlanta.
All right. I'll say 27-9. Giants get a touchdown and they try to go for 2. Yeah, typical, right? They will go for the 2 points and they'll miss.
You always like going for that odd number.
Because it seems like it pops up the 15s, the 9s, especially with the Giants, because they just don't score, and then they do, and they have to go for 2, and they don't make it. So the scores seem like they're odd sometimes. But and Mike, as you know, currently the Giants hold the number 1 pick. They're
no, not anymore. Did the Raiders win? No, they lost.
The Raiders lost, but they're both 2-12.
Right. And what's
the Giants' winning percentage is higher. The team percentages for the teams they've played.
So then they're 1 now. Okay,
they're 1 571 to the Raiders 541.
And that can, even if both teams lose, that could change, right?
I believe so, depending on the opponent. Correct.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. So this weekend the Raiders play Jacksonville. Now Jacksonville has to travel all the way to Vegas. So. I mean, Dave Bellion with a backup. Lawrence is out. So, I mean.
They played pretty well.
Raiders might win that game. Win that game.
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville played pretty competitive.
Against the Jets, right?
They did. They were actually winning that game late in the game.
Yeah, they probably should have, right? So that'll be something to watch. But if giving you truth serum for truth, it's hard not to root for the Giants, but would you rather, see them just lose out and get this number 1 pick? Would you win?
Don't tell me that. I don't want to.
I know it's tough, right?
Yeah, I don't. I look. I'm not going to be one-sided or single-minded here. I understand how much the fans are just yearning to get a quarterback. I get it. I do. I just hate the word tank. I hate when we use that word tank. Do I expect the Giants to win any games the rest of the way? No. If I had to bet money, which I'm not a betting man, I would say no. I don't expect them to win games. But I'm not sitting and saying, gee, I hope they deliberately lose these games, because I don't think they will. I don't think they want to deliberately lose the games. The players don't want to do that. Yeah. Too much pride. Coaches don't want to do that because they want to keep their jobs, right? But with saying that, I think the Giants are going to be hard pressed to get their 3rd win. Yeah. By the time the season ends, I think it's going to be a 2-15 record.
I got you. Yeah, I'm kind of tend to agree with you, Mike. That's a good segue. Injuries. 11 players are on injured reserve. I think it's 11. What's your feeling? I mean, I know we talked off air, but what's your feeling about the amount of players? I feel like if the team was in some sort of a playoff hunt, some of these guys wouldn't be on IR. It looks a lot worse than it is, because why not shelf them, right, Mike, and not risk anything further?
Yeah, Chris, I don't know the extent of these injuries, and if you ask any NFL player right now, this time of year, they say we're all hurting. They're all hurting at this point. I just don't know. This just seems like the Giants, year in and year out, always have, and maybe it's just our negativity as Giant fans, that they always have the most injuries come out of nowhere. Like when Johnson, the rookie Johnson guy, the tight end,
Theo,
Theo Johnson. I don't remember him limping off the field. Right. If I missed it, I don't remember it. He had a good game.
Yeah, he did.
And then the next day, he's going to be on. He's going to be out for the year.
Mm-hmm.
with a lower body. I think it was a lower body injury he got. I don't remember, but it just seems like uh, so many guys are getting
Mm-hmm.
injured, and it coincides with them having a losing record and possibly getting a high pick in the draft. I just don't know how much of a coincidence it is, or is there something to it? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. It's been going on for years, but it's hard to it's hard to understand because we say that these guys could play through some injuries. You always hear at the end of the season, after the season, so and so will have surgery after the season. You hear that a lot of times when a team's in a playoff run, guys play through it. So a guy like Dexter Lawrence, right, with the elbow, maybe that's something that he would have tried to manage through, get treatment, and then rough it because they're in a playoff run. But these guys are
Okay.
quick to go to IR. There's no use in even risking anything for
And
nothing.
maybe I'm beating a dead horse too. I'm just assuming too much. So
Well, maybe not, Mike. After the season, forget the IR stuff because some of that could be skewed. I'd like to see the numbers of who is out on a week-to-week basis for 17 weeks and who had the most guys out,
yeah,
starters,
I
that
would love
didn't
to
play.
that's
Who was
that.
out? That would make it a little more realistic, maybe. Maybe, boy, if we could I'll find something, we could find that out would be pretty interesting. But
Yep.
yeah, so injuries always an issue. All right. Well, moving it right along, Mike, we're going to one of our topics here is you want to touch on Joe Shane, that situation?
Yeah. Yeah. All of us here, we're on X, and we see all the comments. A lot of people have comments, and we interact with everyone, and there's a lot of talk. Do the Giants ownership, do they retain Joe Shane and or Brian Dable at season's end? Last that we spoke to Jerry Foley 2 weeks ago, Chris,
Mm-hmm.
and he's under the assumption that right now he believes they're both safe. He had a hilarious scenario, and if for that to change, based on the last game of the year against the Eagles. If Barkley were to break the record of Eric Dickerson,
Mm-hmm.
and the fans scream "Thank you, Giants," that might throw Mara over the edge.
The optics.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So I asked Jerry, are they a package deal because they were coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and he thought they were, I believe, and.
And what do you? Let me stop you, Mike. What do you think? And I'll tell you what I think.
I
What do
don't
you think
think
they're a package deal?
I don't think I think it's more lenient that they're not, but it's not inconceivable that they would be.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
think if one had to go, Chris, you mentioned it, and I'll let you say what you thought, but
Yeah.
and I agree with you. If one has to go, it would be that guy, and it was Brian Dable.
My feeling is, Mike, somebody's got to take the fall, and I think that's going to be Bowen, and that's going to be Kafka. Kafka's had enough; he's going to move on. I feel like Mara, with his statement that he's not at that time when they interviewed him, Mara had said that he's not at a point, or he doesn't believe that he would, he's going to change. He can't be changing coaches or in GM coaches and GMs every few years. However, I feel like this season spiraled so out of control. He can't do it 100%, but I feel like Shane will stick around, and my feeling is Dable will be gone. If they go 2-15, this team hasn't improved in any areas, and I'm kind of iffy on keeping Dable. Either way, I really don't care at this point, but I feel like Dable will be gone, and Shane will get another chance at a head coach. And if you look at the history of the Giants, George Young had two coaches, Perkins and Parcells. Ernie Accorsi with Fossil, and then Tom Coughlin. You had Jerry Reese with a couple. So it seems like every GM, most of the time, going back for years, they never had one shot. They always had their choice at the second coach. And I feel like that could happen this year with Shane getting a shot with another coach. And especially since he's built this team at this point with a good 2024 draft, what looks like, you'd hate for another GM just to come in and rip it all up and now bring, turn over the roster because he wants his type of team. You know what I mean, Mike?
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. And so with that in mind, let's go with that scenario. So we have a couple of options here based on a number of websites that I looked at, and I know you had a suggestion too of candidates that could replace Brian Dable.
Mhm.
And Chris, since you mentioned that one guy, I think it's only fair you bring that one up first. Let's hear what you say on who you think will be a nice option at head coach.
Oh, well, who'd I bring up? What you talk about, Spags?
Yes.
I don't know if he would even be the right guy, but I feel like the second
Would he
time
want
around.
Would he want to leave Kansas City?
Yeah, that's the thing, right, Mike? I mean, he has a good situation where he's at. He's in his 60s. Does he want to deal with New York again and have to deal with being a head coach?
Taste, right?
Yeah, he's walking into something that maybe he doesn't want to be a part of. However, does he have a longing to be a head coach again? Maybe he's at a point where he knows he won't have another shot second time around. I wonder if he throws his name out there after we get through with week 17, because the Kansas City Chiefs will get their bye. And then if you remember, there's that time where coordinators can be interviewed. So I wonder if Spags, through his intermediaries, throws his name out there that he'd be interested in a head coaching job. So if Dable were to leave or whoever, but I wonder if he would entertain coming back to the Giants, at least with an interview, if a job opened up, because the door is going to close on him eventually, and that's going to be it. Does he want to give it another shot as a head coach?
Yeah.
And the interesting part is, I anticipate, and I love Antonio Pierce, but if they're going to go quarterback, they're going to, or whatever they're going to pick, the Raiders are going to have a new regime. Antonio Pierce will probably be gone. They're going to want the new quarterback, the new regime to pick their guys. Wouldn't it be something if Spags was brought in and then you could see him bringing Antonio Pierce, right, to be defensive coordinator? That would be a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
And Cole brings up a point. Giant fans are so damn nostalgic. He wasn't a good head coach when he had his chance. You know what, Cole? You're right. We are nostalgic, but that was his first time around, and we see many times the second time around. Things work out better. Remember, St. Louis was ready to move. They were going to L.A. They were changing. Their owner was cheap, but there's not a lot of choices out there, Cole. If you get rid of Dable, you're only looking at a handful of guys this year with experience, unless you go the coordinator route, like a Ben Johnson or one of these guys. But with an actual experience, which I would like somebody with experience, and I'm not saying I'm sold on Spags, there's not many out there that may be available. And Vrabel's going to be very wanted. So
and this is just an option. These are just options we're throwing out here, Cole. There's nothing concrete.
He makes me. That sounds like a damn nightmare. Hey, Cole, we're already living in a nightmare. How much worse? I mean, it can get worse, but I mean, this is a nightmare. We're already in it. We're
and
in the depths of hell.
We're going to do a scenario if Shane's the one gone. So
all right, one last thing. Cole brought this up last week. Cole, I don't want AP to lose his job. I love AP, but here's the reality of it. They're going to be the first or second pick. They're going to go with a quarterback most likely, and they're going to want a new coach to run with their new regime to run with that pick, because what you're saying is then you're going to give Antonio Pierce probably another 3 years, and they may not want to do that. They want to just blow it up and start fresh and have that coach and general manager married to the new quarterback. That's all I'm saying. I'm not sure he's going to lose his job, but if he did, you can't tell me you don't want him back with the Giants in some capacity. Like even if it was a Jesse Armstead role, something.
I wish the Giants had all ex-players who are qualified to be on this coaching staff, because you probably see more pride, on this team. So, of course, another candidate for the head coach would be Mike Vrabel. He's probably the most popular pick right now among Twitter fans. I can't argue with that. The guy comes with a nice, solid resume. He seems like a player's coach. And I would not have an issue with that at all. If the Giants get him, he probably would demand the most years and the most money, I would think, if that was the case. And again, we don't know if there's someone that Shane loves that may want to consider, with Buffalo ties, right? We don't know who's over there.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
That's who I got. I got one guy. There's another guy, and we talked about this off air. I'm going to scratch him off. I'm not even going to mention his name, Chris, because of what happened last year or the last time. So we're going to cross him off. But, they got a guy, Todd Monken, offensive coordinator out of the Baltimore Ravens. The guy's been around a long time. Good offensive mind. In my opinion, I like to have defensive-minded guys as my head coach. For some reason, I like that better. But I'm not going to dismiss this. This guy comes highly recommended. Again, great resume. So I would not rule that out for him to be definitely getting considered for a coaching job, whether it be if the Giants are indeed looking or any other team. I wouldn't rule that out.
And Mike, 1 second. I want to address this because Colt said, I want the most qualified people coach. I could care less about them being ex-Giants. I agree with you, Colt. But when you look at AP's history, undrafted, playing with a chip on his shoulder, one of the smartest Giants you'll ever have, and coming in at linebacker, which was relatively a no-name when he was at Washington, tells you a lot about the guy, even to become a head coach, right? After being just a linebackers coach. That's all I'm saying. Just a smart guy. And you know what? If a guy like Spags came over and he trusts the fact that he coached Pierce and he could lead the defense and run the system that Spags ran when Pierce was playing as a player, that's a good match. He knows how to run the system. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, man, I want the best qualified guy. The nostalgic stuff is great, but give me the best guy, of course.
Of course.
But I think the connection with him and Spags. That was all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think I made that clear when I said I would love to have all Giant ex-Giants if they qualify. I think I mentioned that. Of course, it makes sense, Cole. Absolutely. And another guy I have that I hear a lot about is the guy Jesse Minter, San Diego Chargers defensive coordinator. He's another one I keep reading about. I don't know much about him. I'll be honest. I'm going to read more about him and see what he's about. But I know he's got extensive experience with in the NFL. So those are guys who I think, and there's so many that we don't even know.
Yeah, and Aaron Glenn, right? Love Aaron Glenn. Waiting for another round to get an opportunity to be a head coach. So his name will probably be popping up. Yeah. And we're not even talking about college. Who knows? Mm-hmm. I don't know if they'll go to the college route. Oh God, please don't.
No, I don't. Cole, don't chime in. Mm-hmm. I don't think they will, but I'm just throwing it out there. You never say never.
Oh, here we go. Cole with Minter was the DC with Michigan. Very good.
Yep, he was. And now, if the other scenario, if they get rid of both, because they're not going to get rid of Shane and keep Dable.
Can't do it that way. Absolutely.
No, you can't do it that way. So if they fire him as a package, they're both gone. Who would be suitable GMs? Okay, no damn God. I knew.
You're right.
Right. Of course. If you look at that. Would you consider Brandon Brown as an option who's already in-house? Mm-hmm. I don't know what the relationship is with that. I mean, how much input does he have? Would Mara look at him as a mirror image of Shane when it comes to decision-making and what happened? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's way back.
Yeah, sure. Well, good job, Joel. Thanks for stopping by. It's about time. Where you been?
So I don't know how that would play out, how that would be viewed, but he certainly would be a candidate for that. And I looked at a lot of guys out there, and I looked at teams with winning teams.
Let me ask you this. You know what, Mike? Brandon Brown is interesting because unfortunately he's tied to Shane, but we don't know how much input he's actually had.
Right. So I don't know.
He might be just, obviously given, his opinion on things, but not Shane isn't acting on his suggestions. So It's a very gray area because, Brandon Brown came from Philadelphia. It's their way of doing things, which I think is great, fantastic. But we just don't know is he tied to the hip with Shane as well? And would Mara, I hate to say Mara, but if Shane goes, would Mara get I would think he would get an interview. But we just don't know how much input he's had in the say of the roster building.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know either. So assuming that there's no ties of negativity towards Brown associated him and Shane, if that's the case, they do fire Shane. Why not? Why not give him an opportunity and interview him?
Right.
You know, because he already knows the roster. He knows the team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Shane is the one pulling the trigger on these things, and I don't think you could say Brandon Brown is collateral damage. I think it's more of the optics, right? Because then the media is, oh, well, you're keeping Brandon Brown, but he was part of Shane, so how could you keep him, but you get rid of Shane? So you didn't really get rid of everybody. But we don't. Once again, we don't know how much input Brandon Brown really has had.
You don't know. You're right.
No, you don't know.
Absolutely. So we're being open-minded here and say, based on his qualifications, he should be somebody who is a strong consideration, I would think.
Yeah. And JT Savoy says Brown was often the devil's advocate when talking about moving on from players. I mean, do we know that, JT? Chime in and where you may have, heard those rumblings. I don't know.
I'm trying to remember, Ron.
Hard Knocks, he was involved quite a bit, but we just, then once again, they edit things out and it comes and goes. But yeah. That's interesting. He does have, you do get the sense he has a good feel on players, Brandon Brown.
Yeah, he does. Another guy is Mike Borgonzi, if I'm pronouncing his name right, out of the Chiefs.
Yep.
Assistant GM. Winning organization. Worked with Reed. He's, so this guy has qualifications to run a football team. I think that would tell me. Another guy from the Eagles. I think he actually took Brown's spot. Alec Hallaby.
Mm-hmm.
He took Brown's position when Brown left. So again, I just try to look at assistant general managers from winning organizations and win every year, not just one year wonders. You got the guy Ray Agnew out of the Detroit Lions, another assistant GM.
Yeah, which John Dorsey is with the Lions. He's 64 years old. Helped build the Chiefs. He was also with the Browns, but he's the head of the personnel department. I wonder if he'd be interested in interviewing or taking another GM job. But he has a lot of experience, so something like you said, going through a team like the Lions, who's really hit on their draft picks. I mean, they've been phenomenal. So that's what I'm looking for. Who's hitting? If they get rid of Shane, who's making the hits? And boy, the Lions have been hitting.
Let me respond to JT on this.
Go ahead.
JT. Barkley's having a phenomenal year, and but there's no way that he would be doing what he's doing with the Giants this year. He would not be leading the league in rushing. Unfortunately, it was a business decision they had to make. That they had to let him go because they weren't going to win with him. You can make an argument they're even worse this year without him. Okay, so be it. But if he was here, what would they have had? Maybe two more wins. And if that was the case, Giant fans would be so mad because we wouldn't be able to draft a quarterback in the first round this year of who we wanted. So you win one way, you lose another way, but. Barkley, I listen. He's like one of the favorite Giants players for me because he's you don't hear anything bad about him off the field. A good family man. He comes and plays hard. You wish him the best. I'm glad he's having a good year. I really am.
Yep.
So, but he never would have done what he's doing now if he stayed with the Giants.
And this is like the real cold show. Great point, Will McClay. Great in the personnel department. Draft picks, lights out. I think Cold with Will McClay in his contract, they don't let him really interview. You don't see him out there. The Cowboys have or Jerry Jones has an open checkbook for him.
Is that allowed? Chris? You can deny. You can. Deny.
You can deny that for coaches, but I'm not sure. What his contract is as player personnel because you have to remember Jerry Jones is really the acting general manager, or his son is. So he's the head of personnel. So I'm not sure in his contract. What it states, if he's allowed to interview, if he's under contract. But Jerry Jones, I mean, I guess he could. Yeah, there's a reason why he hasn't interviewed because they won't let him because of his contract, or they just keep him give him that open checkbook. But Will McClay.
And that's a good one, Cole.
Sure is. I mean, everybody's wondering that for years. The Cowboys will not part with him. Yeah. So I mean, there's so many others we haven't even talked about and spoken about, but. I'm just and Thomas Dimitroff, who's with Atlanta, helped build those teams. He has like 113 win versus 90 losses. He interviewed this week with the Jets. Very established former GM, help draft. Well, he drafted Matt Ryan. When
Right.
they had those Julio Jones years and they went to the Super Bowl. Obviously, should have won probably, but built that Atlanta team really out of
Oh,
nowhere.
he's the one that made that big trade for Julio Jones. He was the guy that was there that made that big trade to get Julio
Well,
Jones.
well, no, Julio Jones was drafted right by the Falcons.
Yeah, he was. Was he there? This guy?
I believe so. Yeah, he was in.
Wow.
He was part of that draft.
Okay.
So yeah, Dimitri, but I think Dimitrov. I haven't heard his name with the Giants even the last time around, but the Jets interviewed
No.
him this week. But I like a guy like that comes from, he has a lot of experience. I want an experienced GM too as a part of me. I don't know how you feel or you guys feel, but these first time GMs, even though with Shane, he's learning on the go a little bit. I'm at a point as a Giants fan, like I've just had enough. I want guys with experience. I don't want to learn on the job anymore. Can we have somebody that come in and at least, hit the ground running? There's going to be mistakes, right? I mean, Shane's made a bunch of them.
Yeah, yeah, and let's be clear here. I mean, I would have to go online and look if there is a website that gives percentages. But every GM is going to make mistakes with picks.
Yep.
Everyone, even the great Reed, Andy Reid. Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah, Bill Polian, who's a Hall of Fame general manager, said about a few months ago, said that he's in the Hall of Fame. If you hit, he hit on 50% of his draft picks. If you can hit 50% of your draft picks and they're hits, you're going to the Hall of Fame. So that just shows you how skewed, we think these guys should be hitting at 70, 80, 90% on their draft picks. Here's Bill Polian, who hit on 50% of his drafts, ends up in the Hall of Fame. So not an exact science. We see guys, pick high and guys in the middle rounds work out and other guys don't. So.
Yeah, and arguably in our lifetime, the greatest GM for the Giants ever was George Young.
Yeah.
And if you look at his drafts, he's had horrible drafts. Right? He's had Cedric Jones, right? Gerard Bunch.
Canavis McGee, Derek Brown, the tight end.
Derek
Did he
Brown.
do Derek Brown? I mean,
He's had some horrible, but then he hit on so many day 3 picks that were phenomenal.
The big ones, right? And when he hit, they were home runs.
They were home runs. So you never know. I personally, and you can give me your take too. I just think, Chris, I said 50-50. The Giants finished 2-15. Joe Shane, and I think Jerry made this very clear. Jerry Foley in our interview with him. Mm-hmm. Joe Shane would have to really, really sell his last draft to keep his job so he can remain as a general manager, because it's going to be hard to keep both if they finish 2-15.
Somebody's going to take a fall. And right now we think it's going to be Bowen, right, Mike? And then Kafka will be moving on, probably going on to another team. He's had it probably. He's been kind of quiet, and he's the assistant head coach, but I think those two guys are definitely gone, and then the jury will be out on Shane and Dable.
Yeah, definitely the coordinators. Absolutely.
I mean, my argument is, where's the progress with the team? There's been no progress with the team since they won the playoff. Since they got to the playoffs 2 years ago and won, it's gone the other way.
Yeah.
And my argument with the quarterbacks is, well, look what he's working with. Well, that's on them. That's their fault for taking Drew Lock and not paying Tyrod Taylor an extra few million to be the backup. Because, I mean, they're scoring 10 points at home, 14 on the road, and you want to say, yeah, it's the quarterback situation. I get it. But when Dable came here, right, it was all about scheme. It was all about getting guys open, making an offense work, schematically. We see teams all the time. They're scoring points. Coaches adjust. But I'm tired of leaning on, well, look at our quarterbacks. We see other teams do it. And that's your fault, Dable and Shane, for bringing Drew Lock in here based on a big win against Philadelphia when he's with Seattle. I swear to God, I think that Seattle win against Philly last year, that's like, it was like the big, hey, maybe we could bring him, maybe we'll bring him here. But listen, you should have brought a better backup. You could have got a Mariota, even a Wentz, who's going to start this weekend, has experience. Drew Lock hasn't done anything. So, that's their fault.
Yeah, but put up the bottom one for Cole.
This is the Cold Show. Why didn't they draft someone? Or bring... Yes, thank you, Cold. And they put all their chips to the middle of the table. A guy coming off an ACL. Did they not want to upset Jones? Well, they already upset him in Hard Knocks. So what's the difference? I don't understand it. The Drew Lock thing, I thought he was actually better, but
he's saying draft. He's saying draft, not.
Well, he
not
says
stop.
draft or bring in someone to bring to Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Cole. Like Penix, I understand they took Neighbors, but boy, even Bo Nix in the later rounds, right? I mean, I don't know, but they should have brought a veteran in.
Top 10. Bo Nix went top 10.
Okay, we thought he'd go actually later, but you're right. But you know what? Even all right, they got Neighbors. It's great, but then get a veteran. They could have got a better veteran quarterback than Locke. That's the bottom line. That's on them. Would you rather have Drew Lock or Carson Wentz, who was sitting out there? I'd take Carson Wentz.
You know, there's an old saying, right? You get what you pay for, right?
Yeah.
Get what you pay for. So, the Giants are going to have, if I believe, like 60 million in cap, and it could be more, obviously, with releases and cuts and all that stuff. And so there really should be no excuse. They got to get a good. They got to get a bridge quarterback in, and you can fill out all the names we keep hearing on Twitter, and they got to draft a quarterback.
Yeah. And
they got to be smart here. And every quarterback's different. The rookie quarterback, some learn quicker than others. Mm-hmm. I just hope that whoever they get in the draft, and they develop him, let him develop at his own pace. And if it means they come in game 8 and they're ready, I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Or if they have to wait another whole year for next 2026, I'm fine with that too.
Exactly. Mike, I didn't think they cared about Jones's feelings. I just thinking, Hard Knocks, if they cared, they wouldn't have been so hot and heavy after Jane Daniels. So Cole, I don't think they were worried about Daniel Jones' feelings, but there's a part of me that thinks they thought they had something in Drew Lock based on a couple games, especially Seattle versus Eagles. Dable maybe thinks he could do things with these guys because Lock was a former, top pick, but
second round pick. Yeah.
Was he clouded by judgment on Lock, thinking he was better than what he was? Because he stinks.
They have to get more. They're scouting, and they have to have information that's more in detailed. When they make the decision, right? It's not just saying he had one good game. I would hope they don't do it that way. Else we got the wrong people in charge. I just want to see the right bridge quarterback come in, and I would think it'd be more than a 1-year deal. I would think.
Yeah. And here's the ironic part. And we'll bring this up with Ryan Dunleavy on Monday. So everybody, Ryan Dunleavy from the Post will be here Monday. But Dable is going in. If they keep Dable, they go into he'll be going into his 4th year next year. So now you bring a quarterback in. Now you're going to marry that quarterback with Dable. And what are you going to do? Get rid of him in his lame duck year? Now you got to sign him to a new contract.
Give him 2 years.
I mean, they're going to give him something. So that's the predicament too. You're not going to get rid of him if you're drafting a new quarterback because you're going to want to see it through and let the guy develop. But if he's going into his 4th year and then you got one more year on his 5-year deal, Dable in 26, you're going to let him walk into a lame duck year? I don't know if you want to do that either. So the more I think about it, my opinion is I feel like Dable will be gone, but that's just me. I'm just trying to put the puzzle together here.
And if you're right, and Shane is the guy drafting, and he does indeed get a quarterback, you're gonna keep Shane another year if they struggle next year, which is expected.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Cole. And what Cole is saying here, wouldn't that be a lame duck status for him? 2 more years of Dable, yeah. So you're gonna give him a break. So you're gonna give him a new contract when they go 6-11 next year because he's got a rookie quarterback. I don't know what you do. Do you let him go into 26 with no contract, and then just fire him halfway through when things don't work out then, and then you got a new regime?
Where you're going to be in the draft?
No, anyway. And whoever you take, they might not like the guy you have. So this is really that's why I feel like they end up 2-15. I think Dable's gone.
Do you think there's any possible way? Let's assume they keep them both. Do you think there's any possible way they trade back first round?
If they don't get that 1 or 2 pick, if they win a game and fall to 7 or 8, I don't think they trade back if they have a chance at Sanders or Ward. I think they like
I
Ward.
don't think so.
I like his attitude, and that buys them more time. I think if they could see it through, if they get Ward or Sanders and Dable and Shane are here, I think that gives them a few more years.
Who do you prefer, Chris?
I don't know. I'm not obviously Sanders from what I've seen and heard, and he's the better quarterback, but I like what I hear from Ward. I know footwork, right, Mike? Footwork's kind of the question, but I love his attitude. I love his arm. I mean, what I've seen briefly, and I haven't studied him, but
okay.
I like the. I think the outside noise would be a lot louder, obviously, with Sanders being Deion's son. I think Cam Ward is a little bit more. It's a whole different dynamic. It's just a different situation.
I think we're splitting hairs when we say.
What do you think? You're the college, guru, and everybody here that watches these guys. What do you think?
Well, I think you're splitting hairs. I mean, I think they're both going to be starting quarterbacks and in the NFL, and I think they have the talent to succeed in the NFL. I kind of lead towards Ward a little bit more. I just think the way his makeup is and the way how he's asked to perform with a team that make quick decisions out there, which kind of fits the Giants' offensive line. You don't have time to throw.
Big body, thick guy. Like he's got some muscle on him. He's built. Yeah, physically wise, I think he's got the build.
Yeah, I just think he's the better fit for the Giants. I kind of don't like to have that. I don't want to use the word baggage with Sanders, but I don't want his father to be part of any kind of, I don't know, package with that or associated or. I don't know if that's the case, but talent-wise, they're very equal. They're very close.
You know what I think may happen? Let's say Dave, and thanks for stopping by, Patrick. Love one. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Let's say they get the number 1 pick, and in free agency when everything starts, keep an eye on this. If they go for just another Drew Lock type of backup, that tells me right there their intention is to draft Sanders. He's going to start right away. You're not going to bring in a Derek Carr who's probably going to get cut. You're not going to trade for a Cousins. You're not going to get one of these pay for a Darnold if you're going to get one a Sanders. But if you think they're going to take Ward, then you might get one of these guys like a Derek Carr Cousins because then you could let Ward sit a little bit and ease into the job. But with the Sanders at the number 1 pick, he's going to they're going to have to start him right away. And I'm saying if Dable and Shane are here,
I hope you don't ruin him if they do that. I hope it doesn't ruin him or hurt his development. That's all.
Yeah, because either way, free agency comes first. You're going to need a bridge quarterback, somebody that could come in and at least run a competent offense. Don't give me a Drew Lock type of quarterback. You need somebody, whether it's a Dalton or even
I don't think it's going to be a Darnell. I really don't. I think he's staying in
No, he's going to get $30 million. And the Giants aren't going to pay $30 million when they're drafting probably a quarterback too. But they like a Dalton, a Derek Carr, I could see that type of.
Yeah, we talked about that, and that would be that'd be fun with me.
If I had to take a guess, free agent quarterback, because he's due $10 million by March 15th. Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr. The Giants will have their eyes on Derek Carr as the bridge quarterback once he gets cut before March 15th.
Yeah, I got no problem with that. Absolutely.
That's just a guess. But anyway.
Anyway, folks, we got a lot more to talk about when we get into our draft show, which is coming up in a few weeks. So we'll have it advertised on X, Twitter, let you know. And we'll get some guests coming in. We have a few guests for the quarterbacks, by the way, pending if they come out. Jalen Milroe, his high school coach, will be joining us, as will Cam Ward, high school coach. So we still don't know if Milroe is going to declare. We already know about Nussbaum, and has the other kid, Drew Aller, has he already declared?
He's going back to Penn State for another year.
And I think that's
Smart
the best.
Move. Yeah, he'll be a top guy next year.
Yep, I think Milroe should follow their lead. I really think it would benefit him another year in there. And when you talk, if that does happen, those three of staying in school, you got some of those guys who are projected early day 2. They may squeak in that late first round window there. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, even a guy like Jackson Dart, he could make it to the second round possibly, right?
Oh yeah, easily, easily. He's got some talent. That guy, he does. He's a slinger.
Yeah, Craig's big on him for 3 years now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But I will say, Craig admits his footwork is not very good, and he knows better than me. I haven't really paid much attention, but is that right? His footwork's an issue. He's a little lazy with the.
They say he's lazy in footwork and progression sometimes.
Okay.
He usually goes for the first option. And of course, he has a gunslinger mentality. He kind of forces throws. Mm-hmm. But when he's on, it's exciting to watch him play. You know, he's got that, that mentality. But, when you have a guy like that, you take the good with the bad, you know?
Yeah.
Like Jameson Winston. That's how Jameson Winston is.
Mm-hmm.
Slinger. So, but we'll get into that more, and we'll talk about that. But
yeah, looking forward to that. All right, Mike. Well, anything else before we wrap it up?
No, that's it, man. Just gonna watch the Giant game. Of course, I'm working, but I get to watch it, and hopefully they'll at least put effort in. That's
yeah. We've seen effort, right? We've seen the effort. We just haven't seen. We've seen a lot of backups. I mean, we've seen guys off the practice squad, guys in the back end of the roster. But looks like the effort's been there. But we'll see what. We'll see how bad. Hey, Joel, thanks for stopping by today, man. And don't forget, everybody, come by Monday. Ryan Dunleavy from the Post. Get your questions in, man. We'll try to get them in and hit Ryan up with whatever you guys are asking. But let's, by that time, we'll get through another Giants game. Things will be settled down from this game against Atlanta, and we'll have more questions that need to be answered. And hopefully, I'm not sure if Ryan is in the locker room Monday, but we'll get the feel on what's going on, in the locker room and what's his feeling on what's going to happen. So that'll be fun and interesting to hear about.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks everybody. We'll see you Monday. Truth, it was awesome hanging out with you.
Yeah,
and this will be probably our last show unless we do the Eagle one. We'll see what happens. But
we'll keep you posted on X.
We'll keep everybody posted. Happy holidays. We'll talk to you guys on Monday.
Have a safe one, boys.